people who are thinking about working with me usually say, I've spoke from stage before. So what would you say to them specifically? And what would you say if you had to put a dollar amount on what I did for you? What was it worth?
Well, I can put a dollar amount on that because the highest I've ever closed from stage was 30%. So I can put a dollar amount. It was a $10,000 program. Instead of selling 3, I sold 5. That's 20 extra $1,000 that I made from this one event. And if I didn't work with you, I don't see any reason why it would have been any different than my highest, right? And so I feel like the you have really nothing to lose, especially if you can think about the skills that you're learning that are going to help you for the rest of your life. Which for me, I'm an eternal learner, and I feel like this was training that I will go on to utilize in every future webinar I do. When I'm promoting my book that's coming out, that like you're always doing ultimately sales, right? And so to be able to do this kind of offer that is thought through and clearly stacked in the right way that makes it undeniable to the right person, I feel like those are skills that are going to be beyond just that experience. But for me, financially, like it was a no-brainer. I think it's tricky when you don't know the person. I think that what really sold me is that I saw what you were able to offer just from the questions you were asking me. And you gave me a lot on our like free phone call where we were just able to talk through things. You gave me so much value that, again, that became undeniable to me. I was like, oh, this is already worth thousands of dollars just implementing these things. And so I wanted to pay you so that I can continue learning. And once you have somebody who you trust as your partner in this, again, maybe you've done it for a long time. Maybe you have people on your team that are, they're supporting you in doing this work. But to have somebody who's a consultant who's seen, I don't know, dozens, hundreds of people doing these kinds of experiences and events, the human capital, the knowledge that you bring to it is going to be way deeper than me in my niche, in my field. Even if I've attended, 20 events or whatever, that's different than working with 20, 30, 40, 100 people who have put this behind the scenes and seeing what works and what doesn't. I think that one thing is that you were really able to talk me out of the things that wouldn't work. Again, that's wasted energy. That probably would have been just a drain for me. And if I would have been drained, I don't think I would have been able to show up as fully. And so saving that energy and putting it in the right things, you went above and beyond. You were actually traveling when all this is happening. This was on very short notice. You were able to show up when I needed you. And having that kind of support when the doubts come up or something goes wrong, like people not showing up at my event as I expected, feeling like I didn't have the time to practice because I had to deal with, the power outages and everything else. Like just a reminder, like here are the key things. Here's what's most important. And keep moving forward. Like here's where you are, keep moving forward. Just that, not just encouragement. That's one thing to be encouraged. It's another thing to pay somebody a bunch of money and being like, I got to do this now. You went all in. Now you have to show up. I think that's the value, is that there isn't anywhere to hide. I feel like if I didn't hire you, I might have exited out a little bit and just like, I don't have to do this right now, or I'll just do a smaller version of it. And I was really tempted. I left you a message about that, I think the day before they met. You're like, no, what are you doing? And it was one of those wake up calls. And I'm so glad that I kind of, it's not that I pushed through the resistance. It's that I realized that the resistance was coming for a reason, for me to be able to work through my own blocks. And what I did the next day when I presented is I actually used that example of the resistance I had and how I worked with someone as an example for the people that are sitting in front of me that are wanting to experience the same thing. We're usually not going to do difficult things on our own. That's just not in human nature. So to have somebody there with you to do something that is new, slightly uncomfortable, unfamiliar, a little bit scary maybe, to do something that you haven't done before. I feel like having that support is just paramount. Yeah.
When the shit hit the fan, did I just talk about that experience a little bit?
Yeah. No, you went above and beyond. I really felt like you were there. You're clear with your boundaries. Here's when I'm available. Here's when I'm not, because I'm traveling, because this, because that. Like, of course, I understand that. But in the windows that were available, I really felt like you were so responsive. And again, it's red hot, right? I don't have, if you respond to me 48 hours after the event, that does me no good. It was considering my needs and predicting also. You were like, hey, before the event, check in with me. Like you were predicting because again, you've seen so many people go through this. You could probably spot, what things could come up. So you're like, hey, if this happens, reach out. If that happens, reach out in this way. Like I felt like you were so responsive. And again, I really feel like it nipped a lot of things in the butt that could have grown out of control and really derailed what I wanted to do. So just having that opportunity to address the doubts, the fears, the discomforts, or just the questions, like, hey, like this came up. Should I change this? Or something isn't working. I got to have a plan B. Having somebody who's been in it with you and understands what you are doing was really priceless. And again, I feel like the qualities that really describe you is a, you're brilliant and you really know what you're talking about. And I don't use that lightly because I've been around the block for a long time. I've seen a lot of people do a lot of things. You're not somebody who created one business, did one thing, and now you're just teaching everybody how to do that one thing. It's a cookie cutter thing. Like you understand how business works, how psychology works. You're really a great listener and you're paying attention and tailoring what you are saying to each person. But there are a lot of brilliant people who don't have integrity. So I feel like integrity is a really key piece for me, and how you treated me was an integrity, and it built trust. And in turn, I was able to offer the same to my clients, and the whole experience felt like really high integrity. And I think the third thing is just that element of support. You know, I don't know how else to say it, but you were attentive and nurturing at the right times when I needed it most. And that is, again, it's not a course that somebody just gives you a bunch of worksheets, spreadsheets. You were right there. You were watching the videos. You were commenting when I couldn't even have time to watch the feedback. You're like, let me summarize it for you. You made it easy for me to do what I needed to do. And that's really what I want from somebody who has a high touch approach. I want somebody to actually give me what I need in the way that I can receive it at that time.